Yo, what's up, y'all? I ain't got a haircut, so I got my Sith Lord hoodie on. I hope y'all don't mind, but welcome to another episode of Akoye Knows Boxing. Appreciate you guys joining up. I know you got games to watch in a little bit, so this will be a short one. When I say short, it'll be 30 minutes, but either way, I just wanted to get this video out here so that you guys can get an understanding for it. What's up, Sleazy? I like the name, man. We all got to be sleazy at some point. You've accepted your shadow. You know what I mean? Henceforth the Sith Lord hoodie. You know what I mean? So we matching today. Feel me? Well, you the first one here, so I'm speaking to you first, man. But appreciate it. Damian Cook, he said, "What up? What up, Cowboy gang, gang, gang?" Yeah, I'm excited to watch that game tonight, man. I just want to see if Eberflus can fix the explosive plays, what this defense actually will look like when they're actually playing within the confines of the scheme. But we ain't talking about football at this moment. The producers on this show, shout out to Steve, good guy, man, thorough, man, thoroughbred. But they came up with 5 fights that must happen, right? And we're gonna look at those, review them, and then we're gonna tell you why not, and then what those styles actually mean to the not only to the fans but to each other, like what those fights would mean to each other as well, meaning career wise. So we gonna get on it. You know what I mean? He said, "Akoye, I'm dude. Keep asking about your books." Oh yeah, well listen, if you want, book recommendations, I told you guys like I'm an open book for real. All you got to do is DM me, go on IG or probably best place to find me is IG or TikTok. You on TikTok and you let me know that it's you, Sleazy, whatever your TikTok handle is. Let me know it's you. I'll follow you back, and then you can DM me. I'll give you my number, or you get some other way to contact me, and I'll tell you everything you want to know. I don't hide, man. Anybody can get in contact with me if they try. Agent 9, what's good with you? What's good with you? All right, man, check it. The reason that I look at certain fights, the fights that are on this list, and they're compelling to me. So I'm going to break down like these styles and these fighters and why they either need to fight because of the fans' fun and pleasure, or because it's just a fight that career-wise would mean something to them because it might need a statement that needs to be made or something like that, right? And then you got your fantasy fights, right? And I'll start with my fantasy fight first, and because I don't think these two young men should fight just yet. And the reason being is you got to let it cook. You got to let these guys mature to a point where not only are they mentally mature enough to give you the best product in the ring, but also their draw is mature enough for them to maximize the earning potential for the level of risk that it would take to fight each other in the first place. And the first one I'm going with is Keyshawn Davis versus Abdullah Mason. Just a little bit of history on Abdullah Mason with me is I used to assess fighters for Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, though, not the rapper, the actual Rick Ross, right? He was in boxing. I don't know if he's still in boxing at this point. We haven't spoken in a little bit, but we were real cool. I used to, I used to assess all of his fighters. He would sign a fighter, I would assess him. Like he signed Floyd Schofield, who I like right now, and we assessed him. He signed a couple guys, and Abdullah Mason was one of those guys that he was teetering with around 2020, and then the world stopped, obviously, and that's why we stopped. But around in 2020, 2021, we were in that space, and Abdullah Mason and his brothers were just asking for a Scooby van. They just wanted a van to be able to ride around the country and spar and get the top sparring and so on. And he wanted me to take a look at him to see, hey, is he worth buying a van for and giving $16,000, right? That's all he wanted at the time. I'm pretty sure they're doing better than that now, but that's what they wanted. And so I always had like a eye on Abdullah Mason's game, and his abilities to me are top notch, right? But when you watch certain fights, when you watch him take risks in fights, the way he fights to me a lot like Crawford, and I don't mean stylistically, I mean egotistically, meaning his bravado. Like Abdullah Mason will bring ass to get ass, pause, but he will. Meaning you can hit him because he's trying to hurt you, right? Keyshawn Davis is very similar. So when I watched Keyshawn Davis, it was because of a fighter that I was pretty close with at the time. I was co-promoting fights with his manager, his then manager. I think he's still a manager, but I was with Rodney Rice Promotions, and Nair Albright is a guy that just fought Keyshawn Davis, and he just fought Keyshawn Davis's brother and beat him, and they jumped him after the fight, right? So now Nair Albright, I know him and know his brother Duke, right? So when I got a good chance to look at Keyshawn Davis up close, I saw the same things I see with Abdullah Mason. two young lions that are coming to hurt you, but they have a high boxing skill set and IQ, but you can't quite assess it because of the level of the competition that they're fighting. So to try to get an understanding and want to see, hey, what can these guys really do? And what level are they really on? They need each other, or they need a bigger fight. It's sort of like Floyd Mayweather versus Diego Corrales back in the day. You know, in order for them to get to that upper echelon, they have to take a risk beyond the journeyman fighters that they've been fighting, right? So at some point, I would like to see that fight. That is a dream fight for me. But at this juncture, obviously, they should stay far away from each other because they're not going to make enough money unless Turkey Al Sheikh wants to see it. They're not going to make enough money fighting each other right now. So the risk doesn't the reward doesn't outweigh the risk at this point. So you probably won't see it just yet. But that is a fight that down the line, I agree with the producers on that one. I agree with you, Steve. I think that one should be a fight that should be had, and I think it would be pretty exciting. Um, Another one that people keep talking about, everybody talks about this fight. I want to see it at some point. I think it should have happened already, and it should be about to happen now, if not, right? But Shakur versus Tank. Everybody wants to see that fight, right? A lot of people look at Shakur Stevens' style, and you got some people on Tank side, you got some people on Shakur's side, you got people like me who are indifferent and say, hey, I don't really care who wins, but I would love to see those styles clash. But me personally, the way I look at that fight, I look at Tank as a high IQ puncher boxer. You know, he can punch. He looks to punch first. A puncher boxer is a guy that looks to hurt you, but also has a high boxing IQ, like a Marvin Hagler type of guy, right? He's looking to hurt you, but he can box if it come down to it. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody can do that, right? Some people are boxer punchers, or some people are pure boxers. You know, like a Purnell's a pure boxer. You know, you got guys like Bernard, who's a boxer puncher, meaning he'll punch on you, but he's not looking to knock you out. He'll let the knockout come to him. You know what I mean? You got, I would say that Crawford is a puncher boxer. He's looking to hurt you, but he also has a high boxing IQ. And he can box if he has to, and he can adjust, right? So that style, when you look at Tank's style, and I've seen him with Frank Martin, Ryan Garcia, Roley, you've seen him lull guys to sleep with his IQ. He'll let you even go up on points with him, right? That's why I looked at Roach's fight as impressive, because he did that to Roach too. He'll try to lull you to sleep, and then he'll turn up on you in like the 7th or 8th round. Tank will turn up on you, and you'll see a whole different ball game. He'll start opening up after he lets you kind of wear yourself down trying to hurt him. And he'll stand right in front of you and stalk you. And you landing punches like Leo Santa Cruz, right? He'll let you land punches and you're thinking, oh, I'm hurting the guy. Frank Martin, you think I'm hurting the guy. Roley, you think I'm hurting the guy, right? He right in front of me. Ryan Garcia, he throwing for the fences. And then boom, he put your lights out, right? Tank has a very high boxing IQ, even when boxing other southpaws, which I've watched him do successfully. Shakur Stevens has a high boxing IQ, but mainly, in my opinion, it's a top rank thing too, but mainly against conventional fighters. The way he fought De Los Santos, right? Edwin, I think it's Edwin De Los Santos. The way he fought him on the back foot, moving, pretty much running for most of that round, most of the fight, that was against a puncher boxer, or a puncher southpaw. And I said, well, you don't have the angle advantage. And when you don't have the angle advantage, he couldn't control distance half as good as he usually does against a conventional fighter. A lot of southpaws have this problem. Errol Spence is one of them, right? When you don't have the angle advantage, do you know what to do to mitigate another southpaw, or a person who knows how to fight right hand dominant? I don't know that about Shakur yet, right? I don't. So I would like to. And I think the biggest litmus test for him, if not rematch with Edwin De Los Santos, is Tank. If he fights Tank, and Tank being a smart puncher, the question I have with that fight is like, can he get through? And this I want to see. I don't know, but can Shakur get through 12 rounds smooth without Tank landing something that changes his night? Now, in his last fight, you saw Shakur actually get hit a couple times, and it's like, okay, that's cool. He still dominated that fight, right? But if Tank were to hit you in those same situations, could you weather that the same way? And that's the question that you have when it comes to Shakur. And I don't know. So that's why it's like, will the proverbial master boxer be able to beat the puncher boxer? It's like Marvin Hagler versus Sugar Ray Leonard all over again to me, except for Sugar Ray can actually punch. Shakur, I don't think is that great of a puncher, but he does have good defense, great defense, and the ability to move. He has athleticism and natural talent that I do respect, right? But I don't think he can get through 12 rounds clean with Tank. I would like to see it. You know what I mean? And can Tank deal with what Shakur is bringing to the table as well? I don't think everybody can go and match what Roach did to Tank. So just because you saw a guy able to kind of like stand in there and deal with what was coming, I don't think everybody can go out there and do that because Roach actually got hit. He just was able to take it. And his lack of fear came from the fact that they grew up together. They kind of know each other, so him and Shakur know each other as well. But that fight to me, it's so foggy. I want to see it. I can't wait to see that fight. So I do agree with you there. That's a fight that needs to happen and should happen. Next up, though, the thing they got on this. So let me see what you guys are saying in the comments before we go to the next one. One of the best boxing channels I ran into. Salute. Oh, I appreciate that, Brody. I appreciate that 100% because we knew. So for you to say that, man, you're touching me cortisone. Ain't your cortisone in the heart? I don't know. But my heart goes out to you, bro. I appreciate that. All right. Boots versus Fandora, right? The reason I want to see that is because to me, so many people are afraid to fight Boots for the right reasons, right? Boots is a guy that, again, he's risky to spar against. Again, I'll take you back to my days with Rick Ross. Boots and I have a history because of that. Me and his father really was cooler than me and him are. But I had fighters that would come to spar Boots, right? And basically, it's like cannon fodder. I bought a guy named Cedric. I won't say his last name, but he was a pro that was 7-0. And this was in 2022, 2021, 2022, somewhere in there. He came to Philadelphia, just like Anas Masoudi. I have Moroccan fighters that come to Philly, and they knock everything out, right? Both these guys sparred Boots. So Anas Masoudi and Nabil Masoudi, how they would say their name. They're Muslim and they fight out of Belgium, but they're Moroccan, right? Love those guys. They gave me my start as a pro trainer, so I'm always going to have a soft spot for those guys. But when they came here, they were knocking everybody the fuck out. Excuse my French, knocking everybody out. So they knocked out the late Sam T. They knocked him out the ring. Anas did. They sparred with J Rock before the Herd fight. We were in that camp, and shout out to Breadman and J Rock. They actually gave us my first pro camp, right? But I had fun with that. But they were doing so well in Philly that they started getting cocky. And I said, listen, man, y'all haven't seen everything Philly has to offer, but you should stop trying to knock out your opponents in sparring because word is getting around and Philly don't like that. When you're trying to hurt people from here, they going to get at you, right? And you're going to come across the wrong one. And they did, and I'll show some footage probably next time we up here. You can see some of the footage from those sessions, but it was hurting everybody, right? So word got back to Bozy and Boots the second time Anas came here, and we brought him to the gym. They sparred Sam T, sparred a couple other guys, I won't say their names because they didn't go well. I'll tell you that. You know what I mean? But when you go to somebody's gym and you start hurting all of their sparring partners and their stable mates, they get upset. So Bozy, Boots' father, called us back on a Saturday last minute. Was like, hey man, y'all, you want to get an opportunity to spar Boots? I said, yep. So we come to spar Boots. Those like I think 4.5 minute rounds, and they went a few rounds. Anyway, Anas did okay. When I say did okay, he didn't get knocked out. But at the time, I thought he did bad. But I didn't know how dangerous Boots was as a sparring partner at that time. But he got out of the ring, and I'm gonna tell you what he said. And I'm not trying to be smart here. Matter of fact, I probably shouldn't tell you what he said because he told just me. So just let's just know that Boots aiming to hurt you in the fight, in a sparring match. He trying to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? So won't say what he said, but let's just know that he does not spar as a sparring partner. He's sparring to damage you, right? And I learned that then. So let's flash forward to Cedric, no last name, from Crunk Gym, who came here, 6'1", 254 at the time. Walking around weight was like 154. Walking around weight was like 170, 175. So he's a big guy. He's bigger than Boots. I had him coming around Philly. He sparred a few guys, Paul Crawl and a couple of guys that were good pros. and got cocky. I had to leave to go to LA, and I went to LA for a little bit, and I said, "Hey, don't spar anybody while I'm gone. Just stay in the Airbnb. I'll be back in 2 days." Well, he did not listen. And let's just say he went and he sparred Boots. You can go to YSM Sports Media, and you can ask Jamil Parker, who's like a brother of mine, what happened there. But he got knocked out in 2 rounds, apparently, and it was so bad. Like again, he was 7-0 pro fighter. I haven't seen him since, and I don't think he's fought since. I haven't checked again in the last year. Maybe he came back, but he retired from boxing from a sparring match with Boots, right? So I say all this to say Boots is a scary fighter. For those who think that Philly guys are like capping, he's a scary fighter for a lot of guys to face. And uh, for him to get to the level where people have to fight him, he needs a guy like Fundora. He needs to fight a monster. You know what I'm saying? He needs to fight somebody like the Diego Corrales for Floyd. Fundora is that for Boots, a guy that they think is dangerous enough to give you problems, which he may be, and a guy that's dangerous enough to maybe beat you, right? In a 50-50 fight, if you want to say that. I don't think it is, but in the fans' minds, they would think so. So Boots needs someone that he can sink his teeth into in the pro ranks, whether it's a Rashidi Ellis, a Virgil Ortiz, a Fundora. He needs a guy that looks unstoppable, so that he can show what he really is. You know, because he'll chop a tree down and with no problem. So I would love to see that fight. I can't wait to see it if it does happen. I think Boots will do pretty well. He spars heavyweights all the time. I don't think Fundora's height will be too much for him, just being honest. But be a good fight. Be a good fight to watch. Let me see what y'all saying in the comments before I move on. Uh, he said, hold on. He said, let me see what he said. He said Boots versus Backram for me is interesting, and I think Turkey has that in store for him. That's not funny, but still. They don't hear us, Akoye. They think we make it up because we from out here. Oh yeah, yeah. No, he really is that. He really is that. Akoye is the analytical method man. METHOD. Feel you, man. Paul, what's up? He said, I'd like to see that fight too. Yeah, man. I think that would be a good fight. The next one, man. Benavidez versus Bivol, right? Now, I kind of disagree. I will watch it. I will watch it 100%. But me personally, I think Benavidez kind of exposed himself. I think it was against Gavazic. I think it was Gavazic, right? When he went up to light heavyweight, he outlanded Gavazic. Because he's a Gatling gun, right? He has a problem. Benavidez has a light heavyweight cruiserweight frame, which is probably why he fights at. This is probably why he fights at middleweight. He has a cruiserweight frame and size, but his punching power is at a middleweight level. So really, for his size, he can't punch. And people are going to think I'm talking shit when I say that. But for his size, he can't punch. I think the same thing about Jarrett Hurd. I thought the same thing about Antonio Margarito. I think the same thing about the Charlo brothers. Because when you got a fighter that's a weight bully, meaning they're big, their frame is huge, right? But they shrink themselves down to a weight where they are bigger than the guys that they're fighting, naturally way bigger than the guys they fight, and they're knocking them senseless, but they're not really defending themselves. That's how you could tell a weight bully. This is how you can tell. When you see guys everybody ain't got just an amazing chin, right? When you watch guys who don't have defense, but they seem like they do, I always look at those guys and say, oh, okay, if you let my guy hit you that many times, he's going to chop you down because I teach power, right? So I like guys like that because they like a wall, but just like Antonio Margarito, just like Jarrett Hurd, you can break a wall if you hit it hard enough, right? So, certain fighters, Diego Corrales, another guy walking you down. He was a bigger lightweight. Diego Corrales really was a welterweight size. He's 5'10", long arms, but he fighting at lightweight. Why he fighting at those weights? Because his power may not carry to his true division, right? And when you see that as a trainer, y'all don't know because y'all just looking at the scale. But there's a reason certain fighters will have catch weights for certain guys, right? Because they're like, we need to shrink you down even further because we know you're a weight bully, right? So we're gonna make you exhaust yourself even more, right? That's why they do it. That's why Sugar Ray Leonard wanted to rematch with Duran so fast because Duran, even though Duran, I don't call you a weight bully if you actually can fight at your natural weight. Duran can carry his weight up and still fight, right? But guys like the Charlo brothers, their defense. When you watch, I forget which one fought Tony Harrison. Harrison. Harrison from Detroit. When Harrison's not a big puncher, but when he was hitting the Charlo brother, he was tearing him up. You know what I mean? He couldn't do nothing with him, right? And he couldn't outbox him, right? When he fought J Rock, uh, one of the I don't they're twins. Jamal. I always mess up who's who. But when they fought J Rock, same thing. You're fighting guys who are naturally smaller than you. So when they hit you, it does nothing, right? But when you hit them, it has its effect. Those are weight bullies. Jared Hurd, when he fought Lara was whooping Jared Hurd's ass. He couldn't hurt him though, because he was naturally smaller. Jared Hurd really is a cruiserweight frame guy, right? But he doesn't have cruiserweight pop. Because if he did, or if he would probably fight a light heavyweight, super middleweight, or an easier weight to manage. Why jump all the way down to 54 or 60? Why do it? Because your power doesn't carry. Benavidez, is similar in my opinion, because when you watched him go up against Gavazic, he outlanded Gavazic, but he never had him in trouble where he could hurt him. Never, not once. So him going up and fighting Bivol, to me, is a fight that I'll watch, but I don't think he can win. I think it's the same way with Canelo. When they went up to fight Bivol, Bivol is a real light heavyweight. You're not gonna hurt him. Can't hurt him. I don't think Benavidez can hurt anything at light heavyweight, because I've seen him fight a guy that's really a boxer. Gavazic is not a slugger or a pressure fighter. You were hitting the guy. It's not like you missed and he was slick. You hit him, couldn't hurt him. So I don't think he can hurt Bivol either. And I know he can't. He don't want to deal with Better Biev or anybody else that's up there that's like, that really has pop. So to me, he should stay at 68 or below, and at those weights, he can dominate the little people for the rest of his career. Don't go back up there. If you have trouble making weight, you got to do it. But that's when you guys will see whether he has it for real or not, because he will get as good as he's giving. And I don't think he has the power up there. So Benavidez, Bivol, I agree. I want to see it, but I disagree that he has a shot. I don't think he can beat him at all. Shakur versus Teofimo. Before I get into that, I'm still going to go back to the comments. Do you watch MMA at all? Aaron Austin says, yes, I do. My sons are both jiu-jitsu practitioners, so they both blue belts. I just went to Vegas to the I don't know those acronyms, but I'm watching jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts all the time, probably more than I watch. I don't watch boxing that much. I watch major fights and I train my fighters. So I know boxing better than anything else in this world, even better than football. But I don't watch it. It's like my trainers used to say, and I used to not understand why he didn't watch it. He'd be like, when they're good, I'll watch it. But I don't want to watch a bunch of bums fighting each other or selling blood. I don't like it, me personally. Because I say this all the time, boxing is even different than MMA. Boxing is the only sport where you could be a professional at it and not know how to do it. You can not know how to box, but you can call yourself a pro boxer. I'm not a pro boxer, but I know pro boxers that can't fight. For real. They in the ring fighting my guy. I'm like, how did you get a license? I don't know, but that ain't my business. Anyway, yes, I do watch MMA and jiu-jitsu, especially. Agreed. He went 24 rounds with Better Biev. Yeah, Bivol, he ain't in no trouble with Benavidez. If they even make that fight, that's easy money for him. King Reezy, Akoye is the godfather. I appreciate that. Do you think Keyshawn Davis have potential at 140? I think he can unify. I think Keyshawn Davis, if he gets out of his own way, he could do whatever he wants. But just watch the Nair Albright fight and watch the 10th round. That's my Frenchie. She's snoring for some reason. Shut up. Okay. Anyway, watch the 10th round and watch where Nair Albright is not a puncher. When I watch certain fighters, right, and I assess them, I say, okay, just because you got hit clean and you walk through it from a guy who's not a puncher, I ask myself, like, can my guy get in that position, or can another puncher get in that position and land? And if he does, what happens to you in that fight? Like Zab Judah versus Costa Tszyu. Zab Judah had all these. He was making a lot of mistakes for when he's fighting the journeyman fighters. When he got up to Costa Tszyu, it only took one punch. That was it. You know what I'm saying? Change your career. Keyshawn Davis, to me, until he shows me different, he's still that to me, because Nair Albright almost knocked his head off, and he's not a puncher. If he were to get hit that way by a puncher, my question is, can you deal with that? And I don't know. So Keyshawn Davis at 140, he could do well, but I think him versus like a Teofimo, something like that, I would like to see him fight a guy who's a solid puncher, like got real pop. You know what I mean? I got a guy at 140 that might see him in maybe 2, 3 years, maybe 2 years. Hakeem Harmon, man, he could punch with both hands. Now, not saying he's better than Keyshawn, I don't know, but I would love to see that fight too. Not for the money. I just think anybody that gets hit by Hawk is going down. Is it? Everything he ever hit in his pro career so far has hit the ground. Even though he lost one fight, even that fight, every time he landed a punch, the guy went down. It's crazy. But yeah, certain guys, if you get hit or clipped, it's it. So I want to see Keyshawn Davis at 140 as well. Um, King Reed said, "Who is your favorite heavyweight?" I would have to say Tyson Fury right now is the best. I wouldn't say he's my favorite, but he's the best. Meaning he's a prize fighter. He understands how to sell a fight. I said this in the other video. He's a guy that, I think in that first fight against Wilder, he sold that fight. He was never hurt or never in trouble. He wanted to get more fights out of it, and he did that. So he's a prize fighter. He's smart, like on Ali's level when it comes to that. He's the biggest one, and then he can dance like he's a dancing bear. He can box, really box. The rest of those guys are like they don't want to be dominant. Anthony Joshua, Wilder, these guys got a chance. Parker, the Chinese guy, I forgot his name. No offense, but the guy who beat Wilder, forget his name. But these guys are all like taking turns beating each other. You know what I'm saying? So the heavyweight division, because of football, is now weakened, right? Because boxing now you don't see a lot of guys who can really box anymore. Especially the bigger you go, the less you see it. And Tyson Fury is one of those guys that truly understands boxing. He can box for real. So Tyson Fury probably would be that right now. But yeah, let me get to the last one, and that was it Shakur versus Tiafimo? That's where we were. Now I think they really gonna fight. They're trying to sell it right now. Can Shakur beat Tiafimo? I think using the same strategy that Lomachenko used. Yes, Lomachenko showed the weakness in Tiafimo's game. Tiafimo is another guy that's I wouldn't call him a weight bully, but I would say he's like he's an athlete, not a boxer. Okay, and that's like your what was the guy's name that fought Roy Jones, fought Bernard too. He Canadian guy. What's his name? Jean, what's his name? You guys know what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, I don't remember his name. I don't know why. I'm bad with names, guys. But what is his name? Guys, somebody put it in the chat. Canadian guy fought Bernard Hopkins and lost. But he's an athlete. And he was an athlete, meaning he's a guy that, he's strong, he's explosive, but they will tire themselves out before they get you out of here. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to get you out of here in 12 rounds. Even though if they go 12 rounds, they have something left. Tiafimo is one of those guys that will drain himself. He's a front runner. He will drain himself in the first 5, 6 rounds. And if he can damage you, then he can coast the rest of the way. But if he doesn't damage you enough in those first 5, 6 rounds, he will slow down after the round 6, and then if you can box, you can take advantage of Tiafimo. So I look at that as a guy against Shakur. Shakur is not going to come in the ring and be anywhere. John Pascal, that's him. But Shakur is not going to come into the ring and give you anything less than greatness when it comes to his ability to his endurance. He's going to be there, right? So if you look at it from that standpoint, Shakur, if he doesn't take any damage in the first 6 rounds, and Tiafimo tries to exert himself or impose his will on him in the first 6 rounds and doesn't do any real damage or doesn't make a statement, then in the last 6, I think that Shakur will outpoint him and get him out of here. I would think that Tio should take the fight, but if he doesn't, I'd understand. But I think that's a fight that he can even win, because Shakur's question to me is, can you deal with Tiafimo when he does land, and if he does land? Now, Lomachenko had to do that. Lomachenko did it, and then you can see those body shots and the way he started hurting Tiafimo in the second half of that fight. Tiafimo was getting lit up, right? But he had already done enough where you could say, okay, it was a good fight because he did enough damage early, and he was dangerous enough early where Lomachenko, being a smaller guy, couldn't open up the way he wanted to until after round 6 or 7, right? So if you thought it was a close fight, it was probably because of that. It was the same thing when Lomachenko fought Devin Haney. Devin Haney was doing well in the first couple rounds until Lomachenko started figuring out his rhythm. He figured out his pattern and adjusted. And he couldn't do shit with him second half of the fight, right? But you would still say, hey, close fight, it went to Devin and whatever. But Lomachenko gave the blueprint for both those guys, in my opinion. And I think that Shakur would try to mimic that. But again, with Teofimo, just like Lomachenko had to do, you're gonna have to bring ass to get ass, right? Pause. But you will. And I don't know if Shakur is ready to do that. So that would be a fight that I would like to see. Um, any thoughts on Kid Austin? That's actually a fight that they should have put up there. Kid Austin versus Shakur. I definitely want to see that too. Um, I'm mad that Kid Austin didn't fight Shakur. I don't know if he really got poisoned or not, but Floyd Schofield, to me, um, I think that he should fight Shakur because I think he'll do well against Shakur. I really do. I don't know why he avoided that fight. I don't know why he avoided. I think he should fight Haney or Shakur. Really do. I think he's dangerous. He's a young kid. He's gotten a lot better than he was when he was trying to work with Rick Ross. I think his dad probably talks too much, but him personally, I like how hard he works. I watch him on IG. I watch him, put the work in, and I've watched him get better. And I don't see that with a lot of fighters, right? People send their fighters to me to get better at certain things, defense and footwork. I can move. If you ever see any of my video, I really can move. Today, I'm 42, still can move, and I'm 240 or 230 now, but I can still move. So people send people to me for that, right? But most of the fighters that come to you, they don't commit to what you're trying to teach them because they feel like you're taking me back to the ABCs. I don't like it, but they never learned it. So now I'm like, hey, if you can't spell, I need to take you back, right? And I need to teach you grammar all over again, right? They don't like that because they feel like they already know. So it's hard to teach most fighters new tricks. But Floyd Schofield, he could not deal with boxers for a while, right? I won't name the guys and I won't name the sparring matches, but I've seen him put down a few times with body shots from guys out of Houston. And I'm like, hey, man, I don't know if he got it, right? Um, but lately, the things I've been seeing him do, the way he's moving, the way he fights, I'm saying like he's improving his game. And you don't see a lot of fighters that are willing to be bad at something long enough to get good at it anymore. And I think Floyd Schofield has shown me that he's working hard enough to double down on some of his weaknesses. So I like him. I like him now. But I think his father kind of in the way. But I would love to see him versus a Shakur. That would be a great fight to watch, man. That'd be a great fight to watch. He's a puncher. He fights like I always think that black fighters that fight like Mexicans are dangerous because they're explosive, right? They're explosive as hell. But they actually are pressure fighters that are coming forward. Errol Spence is one of those guys. So you can see how far a guy can go if he has a different cultural style, but the advantages of his culture at the same time. Like a Mexican who boxes like a black fighter, they're dangerous as hell. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because they're going to give you a different wrinkle and they're blending cultures when it comes to their style. So I always like that. Bivol is a Russian guy that fights like a slick black fighter. You know what I'm saying? Hard to deal with. Hard to deal with. So a black fighter like a Floyd Schofield who fights like a pressure Mexican fighter coming forward in your face but slick. I mean, you saw what Tyson was able to do with that. You saw what Dwight Cowie was able to do with that. So I think Floyd Schofield will be he'll be good when he gets his opportunities to get up there in the upper echelon. I think he'll be good enough to do some damage up there. But yeah, Jean Pascal is who I was talking about when I was talking about the athletes. So you have weight bullies who are just large guys who can get down and can beat you. And then you got athletes, guys that can pretty much do any sport. They're just good. They're athletically gifted. Like I'll give you some. Anthony Joshua is another guy that's like that. He's not really a boxer. He's just a great athlete. Deontay Wilder, great athlete. He's just an athlete. He's not a boxer. Jean Pascal, athlete. And you could tell these guys because they hit real hard. They're very explosive, but they don't know that they're tiring themselves out when they fight a real boxer. A real boxer will sit in front of a guy like that, and he will make him waste himself right in front of him because this guy doesn't understand. Like Tyson Fury versus Wilder. You don't know that you're throwing wind up punches and you're what we call an ABC fighter, meaning it's 1, 2, 3, ABC. We know what's coming because you're doing the same pattern over and over and over again, right? Usually athlete fighters, guys who started late, who are good athletes, they usually fight this way, meaning they can hurt you and they can, if they land, they'll get you out of here because they're explosive athletes, but you can tire them out and you can trick them pretty easy. You know what I'm saying? So I look at Teofimo is one of those guys. Favorite boxer all time, favorite MMA fighter or fight of all time. Favorite boxer of all time It's a toss up. I'm a boxing historian. I like Charlie Burley. He's one of my favorite. You probably never heard of him, but he was from Black Murderers Row. Charlie Burley, him and Stanley Sandler, they were all like in the same stable, right? I like them. Um, Favorite of all time though, probably Sugar Ray Robinson. Love him. Um, Joe Gans, love Joe Gans. Um, uh, um, Harold Johnson from Philly, vicious. Um, who else? I can give you some more. Um, oh, James Toney of recent time. I love James Toney. James Toney. I used to think I was James Toney. I love James Toney, man. That's one of my guys. Favorite MMA fighter of all times, or fight of all time. My favorite fight of all times because it gave me a respect for jujitsu was Frank Mir versus Brock Lesnar when he beat him with the leg lock, the ankle lock. I just said, okay, there's no way this guy beats Brock Lesnar. Ain't no way. But I said the fact that he was able to beat a guy that's physically imposing and more dominant than he is using jujitsu, it made me respect jujitsu, which is why my sons do jujitsu right now. Frank Mir, Brock Lesnar. Favorite MMA fighter of all times, though, is Anderson Silva, man. And when Anderson Silva was at his prime, he was just doing shit to you that you just couldn't do nothing with him. So he's my favorite of all time when it comes to jiu-jitsu or MMA. I love Bones Jones too, though. I like what he does. I like Conor McGregor. I like Khabib. But the guy that just it didn't matter what you were doing, he just made things look easy. And he was a true mixed martial artist. That's Anderson, the Spider Silva, man. I've seen him do things in the ring that you just don't do. And then on top of that, he was actually a pro boxer for a little bit. Not a lot. He just did enough of it to be good at it, or better than the average MMA fighter, right? Mighty Mouse is good too. But he was just good enough at boxing to be way better than the average mixed martial artist. And I tell my sons, they don't like training with me because I'm an asshole coach. I'm not fun to be coached by because I don't play no games when it comes to that, because I watch everything. But I tell them, hey, y'all need to learn how to hold them hands from me, because they already got jujitsu down packed. You learn how to hold them hands, ain't nobody gonna deal with you. Because if you can't deal with you standing up and he don't want to go to the ground with you and you can't wrestle you, what is somebody about to do with you? You know what I'm saying? My sons are nasty, man. Both of them. Both. I call them the ghost in the darkness. John Jones, the GOAT, in my opinion. Um, I would say John Jones is pretty good. Yeah. Go at heavyweight and maybe middleweight. I don't know. I can't call him the GOAT though. I think people forget how long Anderson Silva was dominant. You know what I mean? I mean dominant. Bones Jones is probably the most. He's number 2 to me. Dangerous, evil, ill intent guy, and could do a little bit of everything too. But Silva used to do things that you just don't see in the ring. He was like the Roy Jones of mixed martial arts. All right. So, like I said, you guys are getting into MMA questions. We got football that's on. I know a lot of y'all jumped off because the game is on. So, I mean, I got through the 5 fights. We will jump back on Tuesday. My producers got to go. It's Sunday. We got wife duty, stuff like that. I got to go stop this dog from licking on herself all crazy. And, I'm out. But till next time, man, I appreciate it. Peace.